I used to work at a McDonald's next to my neighborhood to supplement my husband's income. Student loans, credit cards, and child rearing all took their financial toll on us, and it soon became inevitable that I would have to get a job to help out. The reason I'm telling you this is because of one particular customer we had during my brief stint working there, a regular. This customer is the reason why I never want to work at a McDonald's ever again. His name was Ryan, a mid-30s, well-to-do bachelor who worked in accounting or something for a big corporation. He would always come in towards the evening on my Friday shift, and he would always order the same thing: one Big Mac and one Happy Meal to go. Well-dressed and well-groomed, but always a little tired, he would make idle conversation as he waited for his food. One time, I asked him why he always ordered a Happy Meal with his Big Mac. "Oh, it's because I have a special little girl waiting at home for me," he said, a weary smile on his face. "That's why I come here every Friday night after work. It's like an early celebration of us spending the whole weekend together." I smiled as I took his order, telling him about my own son at home and how I wished he would never grow up so he could always be my sweet little boy. His face broke into a wide grin. "I hope my little girl never grows up either. I wish she could stay sweet and young forever." That was several weeks ago. Ryan stopped showing up 2 weeks before I quit my job. I didn't think much of it and was soon caught up in the frantic swing of things again. It wasn't until my husband came home late from work one night, visibly shaken and disturbed, that I realized two completely different people from completely different parts of my life would intersect in the most unexpected and horrible way. As I said, my husband came home late, quietly unlocking the door and heading to the kitchen. I put my book down and went downstairs to meet him, making sure not to wake up my sleeping 6-year-old as I passed by his room. I saw my husband looking through the refrigerator, moving things aside as he searched for this night's leftovers. As I watched him, I saw him suddenly stiffen at the sight of my son's Happy Meal box, which contained the few fries and nuggets he hadn't finished from earlier that day. I approached him from behind as I saw him curl his fingers into a fist, slowly pulling away from the bright red box adorned with the iconic golden arches as he rubbed his other hand down his face. I placed a hand on his shoulder, startling him before he realized it was just me. After picking out the Tupperware full of food for him, he thanked me and warmed it up. As he ate, I could feel the distress emanating off of him. Every bite carried a weight to it, every swallow an attempt to force something back down. In bed, I asked him what was wrong, and he broke down and cried. He said he didn't want to tell me, that it wasn't something he should share. This only made me more curious and resolute. I told him it was all right, that I could handle it, and as much as it makes me seem selfish and like a terrible wife, I regret telling him that. I held him in my arms, and he told me about his day. He had gotten a call from dispatch about a disturbance in a neighborhood not far from our own. A concerned neighbor had heard yelling coming from the house next door and called the police to check it out. My husband and his partner arrived at the house in question. There, they knocked on the door and were promptly greeted by a man, clearly agitated and nervous. When questioned, the man tried to brush it off and get them both to leave. That's when they heard it, a scream from deep within the house. The man suddenly pulled out a gun, and they were forced to draw their own. When they tried to tell him to put it down, the man put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger. I squeezed my husband closer, trying my best to comfort him, telling him that what he experienced was clearly traumatizing, and his reaction was perfectly normal. That's when his voice changed. It took on a terrible edge as he continued. "But that wasn't the worst thing I saw today, and frankly, I'm glad that fucker took his own life, because when I went further into the house to investigate the source of the scream, I found her. A little girl, no older than 8, tied up in a small room cut off from the outside world. She was crying and absolutely relieved to see us, and I recognized her as one of the children that went missing a few months ago. The condition she was in was horrible, and that's something I really would rather keep to myself." My mouth hung open as I listened to his story, absolutely stunned. I closed my mouth as I processed his words, opening it again to ask a question, but was interrupted as he continued. But the thing that sticks in my mind about all this is that the floor of the room she was in was completely covered in Happy Meal boxes.